Hello, welcome to Wrestling in Mom's Basement. This is going to be Joe and Pat Save Wrestling. Of course, am Patrick Young, and this guy to my right is my co-host, Joe Menudo.
Bash of the Beach 2000 will now be attempted to be saved.
Yes. So, since you did a review recently, is there any fun facts you want to put out there about this one?
About mine pay-per-view come up?
About Bash of the Beach 2000?
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, it sucked the big one. So if you haven't seen our review or haven't seen Bash of the Beach 2000,
Don't check it out.
Don't check it out. And just to let you know, this is the infamous show where Hulk Hogan and Jeff Jarrett had the world title match.
And Artie with a fourth
And then
match.
Jarrett laid down during the match, with Russo being out there. Russo threw the belt in the ring. Hogan put his boot on Jarrett and told Russo that this is why the company's in the damn shape it's in, because of bullshit like this. 1, 2, 3, Hogan is the champion, and then he walks out, and then Russo shoots on him, and whatever was most likely going to be work, which apparently going by the Dark Side of the Ring that came out recently and all the podcasts I read, apparently the idea was for just that to happen and that this was going to work. This was going to be a good story beat. Literally, that's one of the few things Russo and Bischoff both agree on, that they thought this was going to be good. It wasn't. As the original idea was just going to be Hogan walking back up after two heels have a world title match, or about to have the finals of a tournament for a title match. The only thing I'm not certain on Bischoff's side is, I'm not sure what he thought the main event of the night was going to be. I guess the most realistic would have been Goldberg and Nash ending that night for Scott Hall's contract. I guess. But I digress. After that, there was a huge fallout there, as there would be lawsuits, Hogan leaving WCW. Yeah, so this show is not good. And if you want to go listen to Joe's review of it, you can on our channel.
A few videos back.
Yeah. The rest of this card wasn't that great, so
No.
you're probably just better off listening to Joe talk about it for about a half hour.
And Pat will be starting us off with this.
Alright, so this one took a while for me just to figure out how to attack this beast. As this show and WCW as a whole was very bad. So I listened to a bunch of podcasts and just see what WCW was going on for a while, and may God have mercy on my soul listening to Vince Russo talk about an hour and a half for this show.
No, well,
and then an additional 45 minutes of him talking about how he was misrepresented in Dark Side of the Ring. Although I think that show went, it looked like he was more on the right there than Hogan was, and I don't know. It's pretty much two bullshitter. Meltzer probably said the best line in the entire show. It's two people who have a history of being dishonest 20 years later trying to prove that they're right. That's probably the most coherent and accurate thing I've ever heard Dave Meltzer say. So, to attack this beast...
Did he start?
Yeah, a little bit. Russo was sort of went away at the time, because he...
Better lie to a Russo.
Yeah.
Russo went away. Russo never came back as Spring Stampede.
I'm pretty much going... He went away after Great American Bash. He couldn't take it working with Bischoff anymore. Which was close, but I think he was the week or two after. Because, His genius must not be denied.
Bear in mind that Russo never returned to Anchorage. Anchorage left at his first sabbatical. He never came back from Spring Stampede 2000.
So, in
Official does.
order to figure this out in my head, after Great American Bash, WCW gives me the creative control. Yes, I know as egotistical as that sounds, but in order to do this video, that's what I gotta do.
So at 9 years old, you got creative control of a long-run wrestling company?
Well, no, 32-year-old me is in control of WCW creative for this scenario.
No, well, what about 9-year-old you? That's not looking for at the time.
I was a 9-year-old me. But just so I can get into this make-believe scenario and figure this out, and just so I have like something to go by. So Great American Bash counts, but the rest of the lead up to this card is completely made up by me.
If it helps, for me, I had to rebook 3 pay-per-views beforehand because I got reversed altogether. So I had build-up stemming from previous pay-per-views right now to get to the point where I'm going. So.
However, I'll say I didn't necessarily think of each segment show by show or each segment by segment on those shows.
Oh no,
as this is pretty much just the Cliff Notes version. Because if I do that, I'd probably have to go insane.
Oh yeah, I didn't do that. I just had like a fanciful pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Because I knew what they gave you.
Yeah.
I changed up the spring of 2000. Like I did make a mistake. Like I said, fair. I said I didn't do. This one I'm looking at, I did kind of do Blood Millionaires Club.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually make a big deal out of it. Like not everybody on the roster's in one feud.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I did do it.
I think last time we did this, I added in backstage interviews, which I didn't really do this time, but there's probably
I didn't do that myself.
Yeah, it's production stuff. You can simply add that in. This is just basic. This is why this is the match. This is why it's happening. This is what the match is.
I have to tell you, this is not as detailed as our WrestleMania 9 one.
No.
My WrestleMania 9 one was way better.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that.
I will say that. So, essentially, Russo's gone. In short, Russo's gone. I'm being given the book, and I have to turn this whole thing around. Is what I'm going with. All right, so Bash at the Beach opens up. Everybody's in their Hawaiian shirts. WCW looks like how WCW did then. But my first match is slightly similar to their first match. It's a cruiserweight title match with Lieutenant Loco being the champion.
Ooh, I know him because I got him in the cruiserweight title match too.
Yeah. Because he was the cruiserweight champion.
Yes.
But instead of facing somebody else in the Filthy Animals, he's facing Rey Mysterio Jr. So the background in this is that the Misfits and the Animals were feuding since before Great American Bash. And I do continue on from that a bit. Like, the groups interact week by week. A member fights a member, all that stuff. However, we get to more of the build of this pay-per-view. And a weird moment of clarity from Loco, who has been Loco. He throws down a challenge to his old friend, Rey. Essentially, this is an effort to start the separation of Chavo and both Rey to distance them from the groups. As they're probably better fixtures elsewhere that can go a long way in helping me try to fix WCW as a whole. And one of my mandates is I'm going to try to keep everything simple for WCW, because there's been a lot of swerves and crooked ways of getting to places. Let's just keep it simple. And getting to the match, the idea is simple. Have Chavo and Rey get a large bulk of time, let their familiarity with each other take over, and have this to be straightforward. You can even include the groups here as to keep that going. But honestly, within the first couple minutes of this match here, that brick brawl can happen, and then all of them get kicked out. the focus on here is Rey and Chavo, straight up, and have some of the good glimpse of the past cruiserweight matches that we got years ago that everybody is proud of in WCW. That's also the theme of my show. I try to say, hey WCW fans, remember this? Hey, what you watch mattered, and it's gonna matter again. Here's more of it. And pretty much the idea of, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with Rey getting the title here, but in order to keep the stability in a title going forward, which is also a big deal in WCW, I'm going to have Loker retain here, and literally just have them go ham for 17 minutes, whatever they want to do, have an exciting match, and then Chavo wins, and he's going to at least stabilize the top of the division there. The next match I'm going to do is Diamond Dallas Page versus Kanyon with Kimberly. So a little bit of the background. Kimberly had already turned on DDP a while back. But as a Great American Bash, Kanyon turned on Page during his ambulance match with Mike Awesome, where he hit the Diamond Cutter, or as he called it, the Canyon Cutter, off the stage, and cost DDP the match. The night after, though, we revealed that Kimberly was able to seduce Kanyon while he was in the hospital and in that stretch. And had him thinking that the big fall he did at that, I did another review recently, where Kanyon fell off the top of the cage into the rampway, and everything that's gone wrong in his life is DDP's fault. Page is still feeling the effects of the Canyon Cutter from off the stage in this build-up. Specifically, the re-aggravated ribs. To continue the callbacks from the past. Somewhere in the middle of this, Stacy Keibler continues her feud with Kimberly, as pretty much they had a match at Great American Bash here, and they both pretty much ended up calling each other ugly and fat. So I continue that feud, and mainly just for one reason and one reason only, but I'll get to that later. But the go home segment is Kimberly and Kanyon costing DDP a match against Jeff Jarrett, who is still my world champion, by making out at the top of the rampway, just to get that shock factor in there and continue more. So, getting into this match, DDP is hurting, so this wouldn't last all that long. Page has his ribs taped up in his old familiar way. Stacy comes out to distract from a Kimberly interference, or take care of the Kimberly interference. Howard distracts the ref. And in the chaos, Kimberly gets to slide a chair into the ring, and Kanyon strikes Dallas's ribs. He strikes it like several times before